Hey, everybody. It is Friday. It is time for happy hour again. What's up, Matt?
What's up? What's up, Justin? How are you today, man?
I'm having a good week. I don't know about you. You having a good week?
I'm having a stinking good week, man. Today's a good week, or this is a good week. What happened this week? It's a good reason to have a nice happy hour.
Absolutely. As always, we find every reason to celebrate. But this week, we got something legit, I think, because we have a pretty big property under contract.
Man. We landed a LOI. We have an LOI on a large property in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Big game changer for us, for DeRosa Group, and for all of our team members, and gonna be phenomenal. The more I learn about this property, the more I talk to people about the location and what we can do with this property, the better I feel about it, the more excited I am about it.
Oh yeah, the nice thing is, what are you doing?
I'm cheersing you.
You're showing me what you're not telling me.
No, I'm just cheersing you.
Okay, guys. Matt made a very big deal that I'm not allowed to ask him what he's drinking.
I have a great story about what I'm drinking.
Guests, come on. So when
I need our guests. I need our guests before I tell the story of what I'm drinking.
Well, I'll carry the load here and share. I'm still working through my bottle of Elijah Craig for the followers that are watching me. Mm-hmm. It's going down.
They want to know. How's the bottle of Elijah doing?
I'm liking it. So the last few weeks I've been doing the old fashioned, as taught to us by our buddy Jeff. This week just straight bourbon with a little bit of ice cubes in it. That's it.
That's all I need. That's all I need.
It's really great. It's classic.
What's up, Ryan? I appreciate you, man.
Ryan, we love that you join us.
Congrats.
We love that you join us every Friday, Ryan. Absolutely.
Oh, I do, man. We need to get Ryan on the show next time.
Sure.
We should have a flipper show.
We could show. I was actually thinking that we would do an insider show and just bring on a bunch of our insiders and let them talk about it.
So, speaking of which, I got it.
Nice transition, right?
There it is, right there. Yeah. DeRosa Insider.
All your background, yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, for those of you guys that are watching that want to come and hang out with Justin and me and see what we're doing and hear more of the details about like big apartment complex purchases and kind of follow us around and lots of Facebook live sessions. I'm going to be doing a Facebook Live next week about raising money. I do a lot of Pick Matt's Brain sessions. Justin does a lot of Pick Justin's Brain, and Justin brings a lot of our team members on. This week, Irve was on. I heard that went really well. About market selections, right, Justin? We have under contract a 336 unit in North Carolina, and we underwrote that deal for an hour and a half on Insiders. Where else do you get to watch people like do a go-no-go analysis on an apartment building, sharing screens, going through numbers, talking through logistics and stuff like that? I mean, it was that was one of my favorite Insider sessions. And what's great is if you guys missed it, you didn't miss it because it was on Facebook. It's on our private Facebook page called DeRosa Insiders.
Still there.
Yeah, and you guys can watch it. And then when we drove down to the site, so we bid it, we made best and final. We drove down to the site and then went and got into the property and walked units and did a lot of the data, did a lot of the digging and everything like that. And we videotaped that whole session too. So site walks, driving to, driving back, all of that's on Insiders, man. I mean, I wish it was around when I was getting started. That's all I'll say.
I just want to add that for everyone, a lot of people here, they're obviously watching on your YouTube channel and your Facebook. We do, like today, Matt, you dropped an amazing video because we filmed as we went down there. We filmed like sort of documentary style on our phone, the whole process, which is awesome. It's like a 27-minute video, which I'm actually going to post right here in the comments. So if anyone wants to go watch that just dropped today. So go watch that. But for the insiders, there was probably at least that much, actually probably 3 times as much content that we filmed for insiders while we were there. So we did a video touring comparable properties and really picking apart like counters and floors and understanding what our units would have to look like on this subject property. We did a video in the car, like on the way back, just debriefing and answering questions and talking about, what we thought and where we thought we could be on price and like things that you don't really want to put public on YouTube. We're putting it all up on Insiders, and it's not staged. It's not like scripted. It's literally like Matt will be like, oh, we have to have this conversation. And I'll say, hold that thought. Let's put on the camera and show the insiders what we're talking about, because it's all about transparency and showing you guys what we have going on. So listen, if you want to join, we make it super easy. You can go to DeRosa.
It's super affordable too. It's easy. It's affordable. It's easy. I don't want like no run to the back of the room guru, thousands and thousands of dollars. We just want to add some value, and we're looking for something to cover our overhead. So Justin, what's the website?
Oh, go to derozagroup.com/insiders, or just text. We make it easy. You just got to text. There you go. You got the yellow.
There.
Text DeRosa to 66866.
Or you can do this too. You can do that.
I know. I need mine. You're supposed to give me mine this week.
It's sitting in my office, man.
I know. All right. Yeah. Next week I'll get it. I'm gonna have a nice thing here. All right. So listen, we this is fun. As you know, we're gonna have a great conversation today. We have two guests who we trust with our businesses and with our properties and with our investors' money, and these guys are absolutely incredible property managers and doing a really, really great job for us. So we wanted to bring them on to talk a little bit about property management and have a lot of fun while we're doing that.
Right? Absolutely. That sounds good. I love property. I used to manage myself, and I enjoy these two folks. These aren't just people that they don't just manage our properties. I enjoy their company, and I can't wait to hear. I want to hear them tell us some battle stories of property management and tell us some crazy tenant stories and entertain us for a little bit and just have some laughs, but also just talk about property management best practices. So why don't we introduce them one at a time? Justin, do you want to introduce our first guest from Lexington?
Absolutely. So our first guest is from Lexington. Jody, you like that? Jody is vice president at Denton Floyd, our management company in Lexington. She manages the site managers. She's our main point of contact, and the site managers who work every day at the properties report up to her. She's really the strategic mind behind the direction that site managers take. We had some great conversations this week, even just about the health of the properties, where we're going, strategy, all that great stuff, and someone that I've really going to enjoy and love talking about properties and all that. Please welcome Jody. What's up, Jody?
Hi. Thanks for having me.
How are you?
I'm doing great. It's super hot here in Kentucky, but that's not unusual for this time of year. So, just trying to not sweat to death.
Yeah, I hear that.
Stay
Jody,
indoors, that'll help.
First most important question, what are we drinking today?
Tonight, I am drinking a little French white Grenache blend. It's very French and delicious.
Good for a nice hot day in Kentucky, right?
That's a great French. My wife will put ice in her white wine. How do you feel about that? Sacrilege or okay?
I think if your white wine is not chilled and you really need a drink, just go ahead and drop an ice cube in there.
Nah, she'll do it even if it's straight out of the fridge. If it's been in the fridge for days, she'll still throw ice in it. She wants to keep it cold. My criticism is that you're watering it down and you're losing some of the flavor, some of the essence. Essence. There's somebody that's like some French winemaker is falling over out of their chair right now when they hear about her putting ice in a glass of white wine. But
But like I said, if it's not cold, desperate times call for desperate measures.
It does. Me too.
I'm a fan of if you like it, it's good, right?
That's true.
If you like the ice cube, that's fine. That's fine. If you like your bourbon with an ice cube, that's fine. If you like it with some water, that's fine. However you drink it.
No judgment in cocktail hour.
That's right. Speaking of which, if you guys are watching and you're drinking with us, leave us a comment. Let us know what you're drinking. We want to hear from you, and just say hello. We'd love to say hi. So
a bunch of folks that have popped in and said hello already too. We got David Hill, we got Christopher G, got Ryan. What's going on, guys? Welcome.
All right. Before we get too far into this, Matt, why don't you introduce Chad?
Cool. So, hey, everybody, here's Chad. No, so about 4 years ago. 4 years ago, we bought a property in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Nobody's ever really knows where. If you guys aren't from PA, you don't know where Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania is. But we bought a property in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, right in the center of the state. And we had been self-managing up till then. We wanted to outsource property management, and so we found a great company called Slate House Group. I started working with Chad's partner, Nate, and then eventually got to know Chad. And Chad and I have become great business partners and friends. And I was able to hornswoggle and wrestle him into coming over the river to New Jersey. I'm sure he's very grateful that I got his company to do that, to come to New Jersey and open up their operation in a great place of New Jersey. But then after that expansion, they got the expansion bug, and they're now in Maryland and they're now in Virginia. And I think that it's just it's great to watch the growth and the development of Slate House Group. And as they become on larger states, become the great organization that they always have been, but they're just expanding their footprint to larger places. I'm proud to call Chad a friend. And I'm also proud to call him a business partner too. And so, Chad, I'm glad. And Chad, come on in. And even though you and I tease each other about alma maters, I'm still glad to call you a friend. So
before I say, ready to go. So this is what happens when you win a national championship. This is the University of Virginia baseball national championship. One of, I think, like 30 that we've won over the years. Matt doesn't have any of these.
No.
Number one.
No.
Number one.
Wow.
We have a lot.
Do you have one do you have one for their football team?
Nope, we haven't.
No, they didn't make those.
Well, let me just interject and say that my alma mater, the University of Florida, has national championships in football, baseball, and men's basketball.
Hey, Jody. Interesting conversation, Jody. Don't you guys have a football and a baseball championship in the same year? No, basketball. Football and basketball.
Basketball and football
in the same year.
Okay,
I see.
Didn't know we invited a Florida Gator on this show.
I didn't either. Like,
By the way, this is like part of the course. Definitely. Really.
Chad came out so confident and
he did came out swinging. Wow.
I was feeling good about that.
He's like, go get that shirt. Yeah.
Hey,
give him the time in the green room.
What do you got, buddy?
Drinking duck pin pale ale here.
All right.
Now, Mr. Faircloth may know that's from the great city of Baltimore. The city I do. Actually spent some time in. So
is that the dungeon you're coming from, Baltimore over there, with nothing on the wall and no?
Yeah. So we're actually moving.
Cool.
We're actually moving to Lancaster.
So
my family's been living in Baltimore. My wife was finishing up her PhD at Hopkins and is this summer gonna be done. And we weren't planning on moving this summer, but honestly, it's actually a pretty good real estate story. Is when the interest rates dropped like they did, we were like, man, this is a great time to buy. And so we're renting out this house that I live in now, and that's why it looks kind of crazy because we're in the process of moving. And it's wild. We're moving out July 15th. I've actually got tenants coming in here July 1st. So like a typical prime major, I'm milking every day of this. Actually, overlapping tenants and my family. My wife is not thrilled, but.
It's like, you leased it when? They're moving in what?
Yeah. I was like really excited. I was like, babe, I got someone moving in here for more than we were even thinking I would rent for.
That's the good news. The bad news.
I got some bad news for you, though.
We got to share a bathroom for.
Right.
They're going to be our roommates for 2
weeks. We're going to move to the basement. We're going to go stay in an Airbnb for a week while they move in. Right.
Yeah. So that didn't go over very well. Although it tells me this is kind of up to me to decide how I want to, deal with that stuff. So
that's a test right there.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, you're let us know.
You better make the right decision. There's only one.
Yeah, actually, I'll tell a quick story here. I just posted to my Facebook page. I think this is like a good lesson for investors, not to get too serious too quick. But I posted this house as a 3-bedroom because the room I'm in right now is kind of like a second living room almost. It's open. It's actually not like set up as a bedroom. And so I posted as a 3-bedroom because it really is. It's a 3-bedroom house with this kind of extra room. And I had like no interest in 3 weeks. And so I decided, what if we made a 4-bedroom? And all I really need to do is put up a wall. And so I changed it without doing anything else to the house. I changed it from 3 to 4. And within 2 days, I had the house rented as is. I am going to put up a small wall, which will cost me $1,000. But and so my point of this whole thing is, I think like the future of housing is big living area and then lots of small rooms, because I just think that whether it's roommates or families or whatever, that extra bedroom is worth a lot of money. And everyone thinks like, oh, we want a really nice master bedroom and bedrooms should be big and stuff. It's just not the reality anymore. You know, like the idea of a dining room and all these extra rooms. It's like people want a big living space and then they just want a bunch of rooms that either kids or in this case, we have 4 roommates coming in. So, you know, it's like this house is renting for $3,000 and that extra 4th roommate is going to save all the other roommates like, you know, a couple $100 bucks, you know, $300 or something per month because they're going to now share it across 4 people. So like that extra room is like critical.
That's really interesting. I think you're right about that. I think common area is what matters. You know,
I agree.
Yeah, it's like
we're doing that on our rentals at Preakness that Jody manages, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everywhere we can, we're adding extra bedrooms and cutting into the living room, cutting into wherever we can to add that extra bedroom, and they're renting. And they're renting fast.
It's a really deep, long living room, Chad. Like there's like a kitchen, and then there's a really enormously long bowling alley living room, and it's so long that it's just not really necessary. So we decided to cut it in half and make it half a living room and half a bedroom, and it's like $1,500 in development cost
extra on top of the renovation.
Yeah. But what rent bump do we get for it?
We go from $850 to almost $1,000, depending, you know, if it's renting season or not.
What do you want? Yeah, right.
In every market I go in, I was down in Hampton Roads with Phil Capron, cool dude, and same thing. He did the exact same thing we're doing with the property we're managing down there for him is adding a wall and adding an extra bedroom, and he's getting an extra 150. It's like between 100, it's like 100 to 150 per month, almost guaranteed, as long as there's still a decent. The living space still has to be decent, right? You still have to have enough room there, but
they don't need a dining room, right?
They don't like any other room. And the other thing that's interesting is we didn't end up renting to them, but we had a couple of people who came by who the extra room was really important to for like an office. Because more and more, we actually had some people come from DC who were like, "Look, I used to work in an office in DC, but like we ain't going back. Like work remote, but I do need like another corded off, you know, kind of room,
a quiet space that you can work
with a door, with a door that you can actually like close and stuff." So I think that's whether it's like working remote or roommates or extra kids or parents. I just think like the future of living is like the kitchen and living area kind of all being almost one big area, but then like a lot of small bedrooms. And the bedrooms can be small. They don't have to be that big.
Well, we had a new build property in Southern Indiana, and we didn't design the floor plans or the footprints or any of that because we're working with another group, and it's their kind of standard floor plan, building unit, all that. And they have these dining room areas. And we walked in and we're like who's going to use, like, it's such a big square footage. So we've got another project in the works also in Southern Indiana. And we're like, we got to go back to the drawing board and redo these floor plans because no one fits. I mean, I'm sitting at my dining room table right now for the first time in probably 6 months. So certainly not having dinner here. So it's become kind of a useless room.
We never use ours. I keep joking with my wife that I'm going to rent out our dining room to a homeless guy. Because she'll never see him. She'll never know he's in there. I'll just let him use the hall bathroom and everything like that. Yeah. You never go that. The dining room table is the shit collector, for our kids. It's sometimes my home office. And once a year on Christmas Day when we host Christmas, it gets used.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Matt, I think Chad needs a place for 2 weeks, so maybe.
Go ahead. I don't even know he's in there. Go ahead. I'll come hang out with you late night. That's it. We won't even hear you. Go right ahead. I got to tell you guys what I'm drinking before we get too far.
Hold on, everyone.
I want to throw this out there because I know you guys skipped over me, but I want to put it out there because I asked you to hold off on asking me what I'm drinking. And I need to put this out.
What are you drinking?
There are no coincidences, and it was not planned this way. But I say it all the time. There are no coincidences. I was at the no, this is good. This is good for you, Chad. I was at the I was at the liquor store, and I wanted something a little different. and then the guy recommended a bourbon. I'm like, okay, I'll try it, and it is delicious. It's very good. It's there's not a whole lot of oak burn to it.
I know it's Kentucky bourbon. Blah, blah, blah.
Well, let me tell
you.
You get all saucy, man. Let me tell you. Let me show you. It is a Kentucky bourbon, and it's made in Louisville, Kentucky, right? But let me show you what the name of the bourbon is for you.
Oh, my boy. My boy, TJ.
Right? So, right, TJ. Yeah. So it's Thomas Jefferson, and I respect him as the founding father, but he's also the founder of, he did a lot of great things. He's also made some mistakes, and one mistake that he made was but no, I'm just kidding. He's the founder of University of Virginia, right?
Yes.
And that's a great thing, and it's a great bourbon for a great man who founded a great school, who one day will maybe win a football game 2 years in a row. So.
By the way, we should explain that just really quick. That people probably got lost there. So I went to the University of Virginia. Matt hails from the weaker school in Virginia, which is known as Virginia Tech. And there's this kind of thing that goes back and forth.
We just have fun. We just poke a little bit. You're the only Wahoo I know that went to UVA. The only person I can poke at. I really don't care too much, but it's just fun to poke at you a little bit. So I picked this up a week and a half ago, and when I saw, I was like, hey, this is made in Kentucky, with our partners out there in Kentucky, named after the man that went to Chad's alma mater. So how cool is that? There are no coincidences. I'm drinking this stuff tonight, and what a tie-in together to the interview with you guys. So
that's how we pick our guests, by the way, based on
what I'm drinking. It has nothing to do with that. It just happened to be what my hand touched when I was in the liquor store. It's delicious, by the way, and you guys should all try it. It's a small batch bourbon, and it's very, very tasty. But I just thought it was too cool to not bring up.
They must have a bottling place or something near my house, because every day when I come home, I pass one of their trucks.
Oh.
I'm like, there's a lot of restaurants near where we live, so maybe they're just delivering to the bars and restaurants, but
could be.
Who knows?
You never know. I've wanted to go out there and have do a bourbon bottling session, or do like a bourbon, whatever you do, where you get it private labeled for yourself or something like that. We met a bar owner in Lexington. Remember what was the name of the bar, Justin, we went to, with a guy that he goes to Buffalo Trace and buys a barrel every time they have one?
I'll have to look it up.
Carson's or something like that. Yeah. And he's an eccentric dude, but he buys a barrel from them, and it is a crazy expensive, but you get this, private labeled kind of thing, and you get the bragging rights to say that it's your bourbon and everything like that. So
you can do that with Maker's Mark too, Matt. You can go on their ambassador website and sign up to have your name on a barrel. Now it's probably with 30 other people, but they'll email you when your bourbon is done, and you can come up to Loretta and they will give you a bottle of bourbon out of your barrel.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think we should consider doing this.
We toured Buffalo Trace.
That's my favorite.
That was fun.
Favorite distillery.
Yeah. No, it's fun. It's nice. And did a nice tasting afterwards. I mean, and there's nothing like the smell of a bourbon warehouse. It's like, oh my God, this place, I want to live in this room. This is great. Yeah. Yeah.
We learned a lot too. I mean, they jam pack you with education. But now every time I see
talk about real estate or what?
I thought bourbon and real estate were the same thing.
It is kind of all one big thing. So, Chad, tell me your craziest tenant story.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Tell me a really good like real estate tenant story. Not about a deal you bought or something like that, but just tell me about some whacked out tenant, or like a funny tenant story. Warm my heart or something with a tenant story. What do you got?
My favorite one is so we in our lease it says no, what does it say, like no aquariums, something like that.
Here we go.
And so we're doing an inspection of a unit, and a guy has a turtle in the sink. And it is a living, breathing turtle. And hold on, here we go. My daughter just brought me another beer. This is now we got Natty Bo in the house.
There you go.
Thanks, Iz.
I love your daughter brought that to you.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. Daddy's drink. Yeah. So turtle. And we looked at the guy and said, like, what the heck is a turtle? I mean, when I say it's in the sink, I mean, like, literally, like, sink is, like, clogged down so, like, no water can get out. And it's there. I mean, it's been there for a while. A big turtle, like a serious turtle. And the guy says, what do you mean? And we're like, why do you have a turtle living in your sink? He says, well, you guys said no aquariums. What do you want me to
do? Oh, that's great. I love that he's like doing his dishes and doing all his other business in his kitchen, in his bathroom
sink. Like a dual sink, and half the sink is the turtle, and the other half is like where you wash your hands. And he's just like, look, I didn't need the other side anyway. I'm a single dude. And that's where, like, Teddy the turtle lives.
Oh, no.
The funniest part was, to him, this wasn't anything weird. Like, he wasn't trying to cover it up. I mean, we're doing, like, an inspection, you know? And he's just, like, doing his thing, playing, like, Nintendo, hanging out, you know? And we're like, dude.
He just shrugged it off. You guys said no aquariums.
Like, there's a turtle. And he's like, yeah, it's Teddy. Like,
yeah, you want to pet him? Yeah, right. That's great.
Oh, my God.
That's funny.
My goodness. That's awesome.
Wow.
My motto in this industry is don't ever say you've seen it all, because then you're going to see something really fucked up.
Yeah, I've seen a lot. I can't say I've seen it all, but I can say I've seen a lot. Yeah. What do you got, Jody? Give us one. It doesn't have to be.
I got two. One's really quick. So this was a long time ago when I was still just on property, and we had a lady, and she was evicted probably for not paying her rent. And she called the office, and she's like, yeah, I know you guys have kicked me out, but I just had a package delivered and I need to get into the building to get my package. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to give you keys back to the building. I'm sorry. Like, you can't come in. You're going to have to deal with the post office or whoever delivers the package to you. And, she asked me a couple of times. I'm like, look, I'm sorry. I just can't do it. And she goes, all right, fine, trifling ass bitch. And then hung up on me. Okay.
Dang.
Well,
oh, no.
She told you.
Like,
how did you know?
Right? I'm like, well, like,
well, how'd you know my nickname? How'd you know my nickname? That's what my parents call me. Right,
I have one about your property too. I've got a great tenant story.
About one of ours?
Yes, it happened at Cross Keys in Woodridge. And Justin, you met this tenant briefly the last time that you guys were in Kentucky, and she was a little wacky, and she was constantly asking us to change the locks on her doors because she was convinced that someone had a key to her unit. And, we did 3 times without charging her, change the locks on her door. And she kept saying that someone was trying to get in the middle of the night. And I'm like, call the police. If someone's trying to break it, call the police. And I was like, I promise you it's not our maintenance guys. They don't want to come out in the middle of the night unless they have to. So if you think someone's breaking in, call the police. And of course, she didn't do that, but she did call the city on us to complain about her door. And so the city comes, the code inspector comes out, and he determines that she's actually the one tampering with the lock. The lock had been tampered with. So we fixed it. Long story short, she moves out. She just abandons, skips, no notice. She's just gone one day. And we're like, thank God. Like, best of luck to you. We're going to rewrite your unit. It's all good. About 2 months after that, she comes back to the office and walks in, and she's like, I need to move back into my apartment. Like, what? No, like, to move back in. She's like, but I couldn't stay there because the lock was broken. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. No. And Nikki, our site manager, called. She's like, what do I do? I was like, well, you can tell her she's happy. She's welcome to apply, but she's moved out, and she's probably not going to get approved because she owes money to her previous plan.
No. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I know firsthand.
Oh my God.
I got one more quick one. So it's a 6-unit building in Harrisburg, kind of a rough part of the city. And we evict this tenant. A guy hadn't paid rent in a couple months. Very clear eviction. Wasn't anything weird about it. He comes storming back in, middle of the day, a couple days after the eviction lockout. And our maintenance guy's doing the turn. And he says to our maintenance tech, like, F you, blah, blah, screaming at him, whatever. This happens sometimes, fine. And says, that's it. I'm going to burn this whole place down. And, look, I mean, we hear a lot in this industry, and our maintenance tech doesn't even think anything of it. He just thinks like, yeah, okay, guy's crazy, right? Sure enough, that night, He came back, burnt the whole house down.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He warned him.
Yeah. Called his shot.
I said I was going to do it.
You that he was going to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to say the guy's a man of his word.
And
right?
you didn't come back and say, I wonder who did this. You know, like,
Yeah, I mean, Cobb came out and
that motherfucker right there that said he was going to do it.
I mean,
So what happened to the guy? What happened to him?
Well, so I know that. So the cops asked us, like, do you know, do you have any leads of who it might have been?
Yeah. Here's his application. Here's his driver's license. Here's everything. Right.
I'm pretty sure they arrested him. Yeah, we were like subpoenaed for court, but I don't think they ended up going to court. I don't quite actually know. It was kind of scary because there was 5. I mean, 6-unit building. 5 of the tenants were in there because it was at night. Luckily, no one died. The really crazy part of the story is we probably paid. I mean, we got a great deal. We probably paid like $100K for it or something. It was in rough shape, but our insurance was like on the full rebuild.
Oh, here you go.
Plug Red Rabbit Insurance. Gotta do it. So Ryan, who runs Red Rabbit, set us up properly, and it was the full rebuild cost. And so when the house burned down, we'd only owned it for like 6 months, and we got a check for like $170K. And what we ended up doing was, rather than rebuild it, we actually just spent like $20K, knocked it down, and then sold the land for like $5, and ended up making like $30K or $40K on a flip.
There you go.
Yeah, right.
You flipped
flip you didn't expect. I got a few crazy ones. I'll rattle them off real quick. So we used to own a string of apartments up in Ewing. We sold them to Don. I don't know if you know this guy, Don Wenner. Chad, do you know him?
Mm-mm.
Okay. He's runs an outfit out of Easton, Pennsylvania. But he bought this 20-unit complex. It's really just it was a string of 5 4-unit buildings all in a row, right? And I bought them down the row, one a year, would buy one of them and stuff like that, and then assembled them together as a 20-unit apartment complex and sold them, right? So fast forward to about 3 months ago, it gets in the paper that somebody had a Corona party in one of their apartments. And the Corona party was in a 500 square foot apartment. In the kitchen, this guy had a DJ, and in his 500 square foot apartment, he had 47 people come over. Right,
Nice.
Right. 500 square feet. How do you fit that many people in that apartment? Turns out it was one of the places that I sold. I used to own that place that knucklehead had the Corona party in. Right, and I was just so grateful that I didn't know that complex anymore.
That one got called out by the governor. He even mentioned that guy.
The governor did a press conference about the guy. It's like, and then that guy right there. Where'd Chad go?
Man. He couldn't handle it. He had to leave.
It's like, that's it. Top mic. I'm out.
He couldn't believe it. Oh my God.
I can't imagine being at a party with that many people during non-pandemic times. And that
in a 550 square foot apartment, man. That's crazy. Yeah.
I mean,
I got more. I can't. I had to come back.
You'd be like asses and elbows. You wouldn't be able to move.
Right. He's back.
Well, I was trying to log in here to be like chat and stuff, but it didn't work. It didn't.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay. You can chat though. You can do private chat. Okay, so I got 2 more. This one's a little dark, so I'll tell this one and then I'll tell the funny one. So we rented we had a 3-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 1-bath single family home. Young single guy moves in, has one of his buddies move in with him, right? Guy gets the tenant gets a girlfriend, right? They get serious and, he's really in love and everything like that. We got to know the girlfriend because the girlfriend would bring the rent by the office and talk to my office manager every here and again. And so we became friendly with them and all. One time the girlfriend walks in and turns in the keys and she was like, the property's no longer occupied. We're like, why? What happened? Well, here's what went down. And we had to drag it out of her. But boyfriend doesn't realize it, but roommate starts messing around with the girlfriend. Right. And so at one point, boyfriend comes home and finds girlfriend and roommate together. If you know what I'm saying, right? Yeah. Finds that happening, right? What you think happening, finds it happening. And next day just freaks out. Let's go. We're sorry, whatever. And next day, roommate comes home, finds boyfriend hung himself in the basement.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Of our house. So
Wow.
like, oh, so they. Yeah. So what was interesting is they never, they didn't call us when any of that went down. They went and called the cops. Cops came out, took care of it, got him out of there, and did the whole thing. And so when we went into the house, it was broom clean, and everything. But yeah, isn't that nuts? So you can't make this stuff up. So that's a bad one. Here's a good one. Buddy of mine, not my property. Buddy of mine had a property in Trenton. Evicted the tenant. Tenant just was trying all kinds of different appeals and filed bankruptcy, and the bankruptcy got thrown out and all that to try and fight the eviction. He finally gets her out. Constable comes up, locks her out on one day. Let's just say it's Monday, right? She's still in there, hasn't even moved her stuff or anything, right? Like just act like it's just a normal Monday. He comes up, removes her, locks the door behind her, right? Guy comes back the next day to start cleaning out her stuff and get his unit back. She had broken in the back window. She's out front running her barbecue when he gets there on Tuesday. Right?
What's the problem?
She's like, this is my house, right? Like that's what she says when he pulls up, and he's like, what are you gonna do? So and anyway, so he finally got her out and had to like board it up and keep it like really secure where she couldn't break herself back into the house for a couple of days, and she finally got it. So
maybe that's why in Kentucky they make you actually set people out. Like you actually have to have maintenance guys there to physically move their property onto the street.
Put it on the curb. Oh, and so in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, you can't do that. In Pennsylvania, New Jersey, you have to store their stuff for 30 days for them to come back to get it.
Yep, Indiana does the same way. Indiana does that too.
But not Kentucky.
Kentucky's like, it's going on the curb.
Yo, get out.
Get out. Homeless people do because
that's one of the reasons we love Kentucky, right?
I love North Carolina too, man. North Carolina is like, you can do a lot of these things.
So I got one about the property that Chad manages for me. Before Chad started managing it, we had another management company, and the contractor is there's some trees overhanging. So it's 2 stories, and you can go up on the outside. There's like these decks, and so for the stairs, and so he's up. He had a ladder go up. He's on the roof, and it's 11:30 in the morning. He is trimming the trees that are overhanging the roof, standing on the roof. This gentleman tenant comes out and not so politely tells him that he's sleeping and that he should not be working on trees at 11:30 in the morning. It's an unreasonable time.
11:30 in the morning.
Right. So of course he's like, no, I'm, we got to do this. It's the middle of the day, and guy just goes back inside. Well, comes back out with a giant, like a full bucket of water, throws the water onto this guy on the roof and just starts cursing him out and goes back in and gets more water. He's just throwing buckets of water from his terrace onto the roof, onto the contractor.
I gotta say, when we took that over, I've walked a lot of properties. I was a little nervous for you, Justin, to be totally frank.
That was better. When you took over, by the way, that was better than where it was when we took over. That's for sure.
There was some rough. It was a little rough. And I've seen my sides are rough, but it was a little rough. It's stable now though.
I give you credit. You turned it around, and probably I'm pretty sure that guy is not a tenant anymore.
That is funny. I love that he's throwing buckets of water.
Really?
I love that he went back in and got more. My favorite part about that story is he threw the bucket.
Throw water on you until you get off the roof.
Right. That's my favorite story. He keeps going and getting more water. I can picture this guy in his kitchen filling a bucket of water up. You're like, hey, come! You lucky the water pressure's lower. I'd be out there right now.
He called me. Contractor called me. He's explaining this. I'm like, it's like bucket after bucket, and he's like, I had to go to the other building and work over there.
That's great.
Oh no, Justin, didn't you have a flood at a property that was on YouTube or whatever? Yeah. What do you got there?
Well, that one is a single family house in Trenton. and that was my first house I ever bought, and before my own even here. And tenant is on the tenant is living. It's the wife, her husband, and her sister, and then there's some kids. And she and the sister start just having it out, and they're not getting along. And so the wife and the husband and the kids like just leave the house because they need a break. They're going to stay with grandparents or something. So sister gets in her head that she's going to get back at the sister that she's fighting with. So second floor bathroom, she clogs up the drain, turns on the sink, and leaves. And I found out about this about 2 weeks later when my neighbor calls me and says, hey, there's some water in my basement and it looks like it's coming from your basement. And no one had been in the house for 2 weeks. And so we get in and everything is just from the second floor down has just been soaked through. Water's running for 2 weeks. There's 8 inches of water in the basement, which means that 8 inches of water had to come from the second floor.
Oh, no.
Ceiling's gone, floor's gone, appliances are gone. It went through my kitchen. I had hardwood floor in the kitchen. I had, all new appliances and everything. It was a $115,000 insurance.
Oh, my gosh.
On a house I bought for $80,000. And if I wanted to sell today, I could maybe get $105,000 for it. Now that's all renovated. I mean, it took a whole year to renovate that thing. And it's not even worth what we put into it from the insurance money. So that was. But I filmed it. I put it on YouTube, and Matt was bragging about his YouTube views or something, and I was like, yeah, I got 250,000 views on one of my videos, and he absolutely does not believe it. And I pull it up, and it's like 230,000 views or something. Watch this thing, because I made it literally. I just took out my camera, and as I was walking through, I have to document what this thing looks like. And it was.
I love that story because you pull up to the property and it wasn't like a scripted YouTube video where hey, we're going to shoot a video about apartment buildings. It's just like, man, this looks pretty crazy. I think I'll just turn the cameras on and see what happens. Yeah. And then off you go. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a bunch of me saying, "Oh shit, look at that! Yeah. Oh shit!
Oh my! Oh, the ceiling's down."
It took a year to get everything cleaned out, and there's so much mold in there. And
I won't tell you the full story, but our worst ever murder was by a samurai sword.
Oh.
And I'll just leave it there.
See, I was opening up. See, I knew if I opened up the suicide door, we would get to go there.
I got a murder story too. I got a murder story too. Yeah. In Lexington, not one of the properties Jody manages, but our other property. You might have heard about.
Oh wow, yeah. Jody! I know you know about this one, man.
This gentleman.
This is awful.
60-some-year-old.
This
gentleman
is some shit, man.
Brings home a lady of the night. Back to his place, and she basically ties him up and butchers him in the middle of the night in our unit.
Damn.
Yeah.
And that's why you should not get a hooker.
Right. I know. And that's Sesame Street, right? That's right. That's one to grow on right there, right? Yeah.
That is why you should not get a sex worker.
Bring it back. Bring it back in. Right.
Matt, hey. Not to change subject here, but can we talk about what we're doing at your complex in E-Town?
What do you mean?
We're all laughing and having fun. Here we go.
Yeah. We're putting in water meters. Okay, so
I think it's interesting.
No, it is. It is. And I think so. And you guys are doing some cool shit. You guys are doing the water meters are talking Wi-Fi back to a central hub station.
I'm just thinking some people on this show might want to actually try to learn something.
All right, Chad, I do appreciate that. And I don't know if this is related, but we did get a question on Facebook asking about some cool tech that we're using at properties. I don't know if this was
Did Chad write that question?
No.
I did not. I mean,
that's some shit Chad would ask right there.
I do. My wife wrote it, but not me.
Chad, I'm joking. It was an unexpected gear change. I mean, we went from hookers to water meters.
I was just thinking,
sex workers.
And I think this is actually you can make a shit ton of money by doing what we're doing at this complex.
Tell us about it.
So I'll use your complex as the example, but it's not just there. You can do this. It's a 49 unit apartment complex. And but you could have this works for 4-unit buildings too. So this is not just big multifamily. And in this case, like in many old buildings, the water meters are not separated. And so the tenants get free water, basically. And, and that leads to all sorts of problems. First off, tenants just waste water. But the other problem is just...
What?
Yeah. Yeah. But the other problem is...
on and stop at the sinks and leave for 2 weeks? Like,
right. Your situation. That's
Did they fill up buckets of it and throw it at guys on the roof?
Big water bill.
And make an aquarium in their kitchen?
But then if there's like a leak or something, you don't know about it. And it's really hard. In any of these multi-unit buildings, it's hard to pin down where the leak is. So you end up having a plumber go through every toilet, what toilet's running. And so, so we're working with, so True Submeter is the submetering company. And the way it works is, and what we found is that every building's different. And sometimes, in this case, it's the home run. We didn't even know it was going to be this easy. But it's already kind of broken out so that all we need to do is put 1 meter on each unit. And so it ends up being like, I don't know the cost. Maybe it's like $50 a unit or $50 a meter or whatever. And so we'll put those in, and then we'll put a couple Wi-Fi routers. And what that does is basically at the end of every month, it will send that data over to True, who will then turn everything into an invoice and then send it to us. And then we actually pay the main city water like we normally would. Except what happens then is we turn around and actually bill all the tenants back their water. And
the sewer.
And the sewer.
There's
And
2 different
actually,
bills.
we're going to start doing trash too, which is weird because trash has nothing to do with this, but we can, through this kind of same billing system, we can actually separate out trash if we want to and start to...
$50 a meter?
Yeah, it's about, I want to say it's like 50. And then there's like what it comes out to is at the absolute worst case scenario. So let's say in some of these old buildings, it's just like water meters everywhere, water lines everywhere. Worst case scenario, it's about, including labor, it's about $1,000 per unit to submeter it. In this complex, we're going to hit a home run. It's going to be way less. It's going to probably come out to be like $250 or I don't know. I don't know the exact number. It's going to be way less per unit. But then what we were paying in water bills was crazy. I mean, it was like, Matt, you may know the number. It's like 30 to 40K per year in water bills. And
$40,000 a year.
In general, we're finding that people are getting their money back in 1 year on this project. And we're not, we're just the one kind of like making it happen. But then the really cool part is if you want to go sell like, let's say you wanted to refi the property or you wanted to sell it, your return on that's crazy at any kind of normal cap rate. It's
well, you also like incentivize the tenants to behave themselves and to use water appropriately.
Right. Right.
And to not put turtles in sinks and stuff like that.
Right.
Or
well,
like
we have a lot of our properties here in Kentucky, especially in our Lexington properties. Your properties and the other ones that we have such a large immigrant population in all of them that they don't call you when there's something broken because they think they're going to get in trouble. And they don't, they think, oh my gosh, if I call them and tell them this is broken, I'm going to get kicked out. So it's not only, an issue of, no, please call. But
we want to know.
Yeah, we want to know
this drip coming from your ceiling.
Right. We want to know if your tub is just running full blast all day long. Please call us and tell us. But again, it's just getting them acclimated to, that you're not going to get in trouble for that. No one's going to kick you out of your home if something breaks.
I used to own a duplex in Trenton, and I've since sold it, but I was touring it and just doing a site walk. And he had the whole backyard tricked out. It was the tenant on the first floor had the whole backyard, he had a whole garden going on, and it was all immaculate. And then he had a pool sitting there, and I was like, "Oh man, he's got a nice little pool for his family." I'm like, "Fuck, man, I paid for water at this place. Asshole. You know, they had like a 50-gallon pool sitting there, or a 100-gallon, however many, probably a couple 100-gallon pool, and I'm like, you son of a bitch.
You're like, God damn it.
Yeah, I know. But the funny part. I was just admiring it at first. And I was going like, look at this whole thing, and it was a nice pool with a filter, with the filter thing
back there. Yeah,
it's a nice, like a whole. What's that?
You bought it for him.
I did. I bought that water. I bought that water.
Yeah, no, I think this is. I think seriously, I think fast forward like 5 years. I think every building will be submetered. The tech is just it's getting better and cheaper. That it makes so much sense.
Well, Chad, why do we have to invite you to a happy hour before you call me and tell me to put this on my property in Virginia? What's going on?
Well, if you actually read your emails from me, like Matthew does.
Like the 25 paragraph emails that you send us?
Good things in those emails, Justin.
Yeah, Justin. Maybe you start reading your own emails.
There are hidden little Easter eggs in those emails.
Right. Yeah. It's
like one sentence in 20 paragraphs that says, "Oh, by the way, you should do this."
You gotta learn how to skim, buddy.
Well, Matt read it, and Matt said,
"I was like the first reply. It came out, and I'm like, hey, I love this. This sounds great."
Justin just deleted my email, or the spam,
or whatever.
I should have sent it to you too, man.
Yeah. I just Chad. It's auto, man. It just goes to a spam folder automatically.
Justin, we can totally do it on your property in Virginia.
Also, going back to our conversation earlier, we have dining rooms in all those units. I think in all the 2 bedrooms.
Make it a bedroom.
Make it into a bedroom.
Lease it out. Sublet it.
Go down there and fix that for me, Chad.
Find a homeless person and bring them in there for $100 a month. Put them in there.
Worker, because
we'll make them 3 bedrooms.
I got one more thing to throw out there, and you guys give me like a yes or no, and then I promised my wife that I would keep this thing right around an hour. I was talking to somebody else today he's got a solid business, and he is buying not apartment building assets. He's buying things that are like, I'll give you some examples. He's buying hotels. He's buying like big box retail stores like JCPenney, let's say. And he wants to buy shopping malls, and he's converting these things into apartment buildings. He's taking a hotel that's typically like a room in a hotel somewhere around 200, 250 square foot, and he'll merge 2 units and make them 2 hotel cells and make them an apartment unit. So he's doing micro rentals. He's doing like efficiency or 1-bedroom apartments at 400 to 500 square foot.
Yeah.
Right. Do you guys think this is the future? Because he's taking.
I would say, is it the future? I don't know. But does it work? Yes, because we have a property just like that. We have a property that was an old, rundown, kind of no-tell, motel kind of place. And
is that with the woman from the other guy? Right. Okay. No. Okay. Got it.
And the city basically was like, please buy this, and please make this go away. And so we got it, and we turned it into micro units, and it got CO'd about a year ago. It got CO'd in July 1st is when we got CO'd. It's small. It's 40 units. So it's not a big property. It was 100% occupied by the end of the year.
Wow.
What kind of rent do you get? What's in Kentucky? Is this Louisville or Lexington?
It's in Clarksville, Indiana, actually. So a little bit lower rents than you're going to see in Louisville or Lexington, but we're getting between $750 and $800.
Kitchen? Is there a kitchen in every unit?
Oh, it's a full unit. It's got a kitchen. It's got washer dryer, like stackables that comes with it. And
how many square is it again?
What's that?
How many square foot's the apartment?
They're small. I mean, they're probably, I think, 500 square feet.
Wow.
Yeah. But they're
changing, man.
They're like, the finishes are really nice. They've got real stone countertops. They've got stainless steel appliances. They come with a stackable washer and dryer. You still have a real bedroom that has like a barn door that you can close so that you can, have some privacy. They've got like PTAC, like mini split systems in them so that they can still, because, obviously they've got the old hotel rooms have those old PTAC. So there was no way to run. It's a concrete building. So there was no way to run, no efficient or cost effective way to run ductwork. But it's still 100% occupied like today. Like awesome. Everyone moves out and the unit's already pre-leased.
Okay, Chad, what do you think? Is it the future in a lot of in more denser areas or whatever? Is might call them like micro rentals? Is this what we're going to see more of?
Here's the only thing I get worried about is when I see these people try to do things where the kitchen is not in the unit and it's like a shared kitchen,
like a SRO.
Yeah, with that comes a lot of problems.
Yeah, man.
And so I'm not a huge fan of that style. I will say this though. I'll tell you what, man. These people who own malls right now, they are effed.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know how else to politely say it. Look, I mean, COVID has hurt and helped certain businesses, but the brick and mortar retail was already effed.
Yep.
And the problem is with COVID is like the JCPenney's of the world, like yes, they had a tough year. If you were a good business and if you're a restaurant, right, your restaurant's got to come back, you just go out and you just go raise some money, right? And you carry that in debt, and that's fine. If you're JCPenney, like, you can't do that. No one's going to lend you money. And so,
have you heard what's going on? Is that Simon Property Group, who they're the largest mall owner in the country, is going to partner up with the other largest mall owner in the country, and they are making a bid to buy JCPenney. What's interesting about that is that one of those two companies also owns Forever 21 and a large portion of Aeropostale, right? Then you're like, oh, that's cool. I guess they're partnering up with their tenants. Well, now they can regulate, they can govern and put in the books how much those companies pay them rent. You know, they can kind of puppeteer and bleed those companies out and just say, oh, you're not gonna make any profit for your investors or for anybody else. You're gonna just pay as much rent as you can.
Here's where I'm going with this. I think whatever they try to do for the next 2 or 3 years to do, crazy financial accounting aside, like there's a huge mall in Lancaster, for example. That mall's not there in 2 to 3 years. I just don't believe it. And so it has to turn into something. And there's some pretty interesting space there where you can do some pretty interesting things.
You know what it's going to turn into? Because there's a mall in Louisville having this issue. It's going to turn into a Topgolf.
Topgolf. Did they tear it down and Topgolf it? What did they do?
So there was like a big Sears attached to one of the malls here, and it's gone under. It's closed. It hasn't been open for years and years and years. And they're like, let's build a Topgolf in Louisville. Like, that's a great source. It's great for jobs. It's great for revenue because that shit is not cheap when you go to Topgolf.
No.
And then, of course, it goes through, it was a huge back and forth with the neighborhood that was it was very not in my neighborhood. And it's like, you had a big mall here. You had a Sears.
Why don't you want to Topgolf in your neighborhood, man? It's jobs.
I want to Topgolf in your neighborhood.
So long story short is I could see the mall becoming mixed use, where you've got a bunch of residential mixed in with a bunch of fun commercial restaurants, Topgolf, and that becomes a pretty cool place to live.
Yeah, man.
It really does. Right. I mean, that's a kind of place that actually can get some high-end rent because there's a bunch of really cool stuff.
Well, what about co-working too, Chad? What if you could take a JCPenney and if I could give you the bones of a JCPenney and you could turn that into a co-working space, leave the escalators in, the escalators to go up and down, everything like that. You could make the big boxes really cool co-working for people to have little mobile offices or, have conferences or whatever. And then you could turn that little 200 square foot or 2,000 square foot store into a couple of apartments,
It's interesting. It's like you take a whole mall and it turns into, everything from co-working to residential to, by the way,
it's a living center. It's a living center. Everything you need is right there. I got your restaurants.
Some of those restaurants are still doing well. I mean, the Outback Steakhouse, they don't want to leave. They're like, hey, this is actually a pretty good location. I'm still getting a lot of traffic. Like, they want to stay. You throw in the athletic gym in one of the corners. Who now wants to take it over? I think that's,
why wouldn't they? Because you probably got a couple thousand people living in that center piece, they all would want to serve that clientele that's sitting there.
Yeah.
So now you see fitness centers and new builds are kind of becoming a little bit like, you can take it or leave it because it's so cheap to buy a gym membership. It's like, why do I want to go to this rinky-dink little room that has one elliptical when I can pay $20 a month for a Planet Fitness and have a full gym.
Mm-hmm.
And those things, I mean, I really think you're going to have a lot of those things in bankruptcy court, like those malls where there's going to be deals to be had. And the last thing I'll say is, if you think about kind of where they're located, a lot of them are in pretty actually good locations to live.
They're always right off of highways. They're easy to see. Yeah. They're easy to get to. They typically have other stuff around them. They're close to major metro areas.
There's plenty of parking.
Plenty of parking.
Just shit ton of parking.
So, I mean, no jokes aside, if you think about it, a lot of the projects we've worked on, because we're actually doing some more new construction stuff, some with you, Matt, and at least in our areas, the biggest inhibitor to units is actually not like how many units can we build. It's all about parking. How much parking can we find to make sense here? Mm-hmm. Those days are going to have no parking restrictions because there's endless parking. It's something interesting where you can say like, could you turn a shopping mall into a 500 unit apartment complex?
I think you could. I think it's going to cost you some money. You got to get it for the right number. But I think that for the right reno, you could.
Yeah, but not just a complex, because you have to have the amenities like the Top Golf.
Well, that's the thing.
You could walk over to Top Golf.
The living is in the center, right? Yeah. So when you walk around a mall, what do you got? You got like the big walking areas and everything like that. You keep all that in, and that's your common area. You can go for a jog right in your backyard. Yeah. And those stores become where people live, and the big boxes where the Sears, the JCPenney, and the Macy's were, those are where the co-working space or where the restaurants, and you also got a food court. By the way, malls already have food courts, right? So keep that there. Make that be a cool looking food court with different things.
Throw a Trader Joe's in there. Throw a Whole Foods in there, and then you don't really have to leave.
I'm in. Matt, you want to do one?
Let's do it.
I'm gonna find a mall, a bankrupt mall. You know what? The one more thing, and then I got to go. I saw online. This was a couple of years ago. I saw for sale on LoopNet, and I passed on. I said, "What do you do with that?" I wish I'd seen it again. This was a abandoned college for sale, a full-on college with dormitories and buildings with classrooms and an auditorium and a gymnasium on like 120 acres for sale, and a courtyard in the middle of the whole thing. And they were trying to sell it, and it wasn't much that they wanted for it. But you're like, what do you do with that? Jeez,
You could get it zoned properly. You could do something good with it.
Well, you could have a little freaking village, man. You could build I could build
town, basically.
I could build Fraserville, Justin Fraser town right there. Right?
Truman Show kind of.
Yeah. You build Truman Town, right? Your own little thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Can we call it Jefferson?
There you go.
We could.
Bourbon on every corner.
Hokey Town. Right.
Yeah.
So, cool. Hey guys, we're gonna
a second to promote whatever they want to promote. Since
I was gonna say, let's zoom in on Jody, zoom in on Chad. Guys, just tell us a little bit what about you and why. Just tell us why you're awesome, why people should call you, and how they get a hold of you.
All right. So
on the spot, Jody, go for it.
Sure. Yeah. So like Justin and Matt said, I am with Dead & Floyd Real Estate Group in Kentucky. We have adaptive reuse, property management, construction division, and we own and manage residential real estate. We're not the biggest guys, but I think we're the best. And so Thanks. So we specialize in third-party management, managing our own stuff, and adaptive reuse. We've done some really cool projects here in the Louisville, Lexington, and Southern Indiana areas, taking some really cool old buildings and turning them into awesome apartment complexes. So I've been with Dead & Floyd for just over 2 years, and it's a great company. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
I agree with everything you said.
Thank you, Jody.
Yes, I'm Chad. So Slate House manages about 4,000 units. I started the company about 7 years ago with one of my best friends. It's been a crazy ride, kind of starting from the ground up and building. We manage stuff in Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and New Jersey. And we do everything from single-family homes to multifamily stuff and growing. I have a podcast called Real Estate Hackers, where we kind of talk about the integration of real estate and tech. I have a kind of an engineering tech background, so super passionate about that. We also own a insurance company called Red Rabbit Insurance, which I will say, if you're interested in getting a quote for insurance, what's unique about Red Rabbit is we focus specifically on investors. And so you can go to the URL redrabbitinsurance.com or just email Ryan at redrabbitinsurance.com. Probably save you some money. So that's what we're up to.
Ryan bid my 49 unit, and his bid saved me money.
Really?
Yeah, it's
awesome,
less 20%.
You know, it's funny. I've been doing this for like 7 years, like, working our ass off on the prime management side, just taking arrows from people like you guys, calling us at every hour of the day. And I'll tell you, I will see our investors like randomly and like at a meetup, and they'll come give me a hug and be like, "Thank you so much." And I'm like, "Oh man, did we do a good job like on the prime management stuff?" They're like, "No, you just saved me $1,000 in insurance." And I'm like, "God, jeez." Like, it's a crazy little world, but I'll tell you, it's wild. The insurance industry is so big. Like, I had no idea before I got into it, but it's massive, and there's all these niches. And we decided to kind of go after like investors. So
there you go.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
And they're both phenomenal property management companies, whether you're investing in Kentucky and Indiana, whether or not you're investing in, let's make the list, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland or Virginia, and soon to be Wyoming. You can call us. Yeah.
Is that where we're going next?
No, I just made it up. No, you're not with me. No.
If Matt called and asked you to go, you probably would.
It'd have to be really big, and I don't think so. But it's too long of a flight. But yeah, those
it makes me
four.
nervous when Matt says those things, because usually, like, deep down, like he throws us. One thing I've learned from Matt is, like, Matt doesn't say anything without a purpose. He's always got
There's a little bit of truth.
Because my purpose is to be funny. That's it.
And he'll do these things where he'll kind of start with like a kind of a joke or make a side comment, which
I go,
to Wyoming, and then, and then he'll get a call like on Monday, be like, "Hey man, look, you know how we're like good friends and stuff.
Listen,
and, I've done a lot for you guys. I really need some help here." Like
Cheyenne, Wyoming. I'm telling you.
And then he'll be on why it's a good opportunity for you. Well, look, the Wyoming industry is taking off.
And I also need you to discount your management fee, but Cheyenne, Wyoming, my man, I'm telling you.
And then the last thing is he always.
And I need you out there a lot. Yeah.
I need a deal.
Yeah.
I
need a deal. Always need. So I'll put you in there, and I'll refer you some business, but I'm gonna need some help.
Oh, kissy, Chad, kissy. Yeah, I would not send you to Wyoming. No way. So
until there's a deal there.
Yeah,
and it's only because I haven't looked there.
Yeah, we got this recorded in 5 years. I'm gonna play it back for you. When
you should ever play this back.
When you're on your flight to Wyoming.
Yeah, when we're together, we will watch this.
Chad will be the king of Cheyenne in 5 years.
The king of Cheyenne. All right.
Well, guys, this was fun. Thank you.
I haven't laughed. I've officially laughed the most on this happy hour, Justin, that I did on any other happy hour we've had. So thank you for.
How many have you had? What number? Like
it's 10, 11.
Yeah.
Shows you where the prime management folks stand.
Yeah.
Chad, we see other people.
I thought this was an exclusive relationship.
Hey, if you like this episode, Chad, and you want to see,
this is the only exclusive I got. This one right here. But what's that?
They're all on Matt's YouTube. Just go on DeRosaGroup.com.
Yes, you can watch all the happy hours.
All our happy hours. They've all been happy. They've all been not quite hours.
Happy.
Yeah, not just happy.
Look, we got beer's gone. I mean, it's going to be a good day.
They've all other been mediocre hours. This was a happy hour.
It's important. It's my wife's birthday.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday to Ashley.
Why did you say yes to this, you jerk?
Hey, look, this is important. I'm gonna play this for her later. My wife is.
Tell your wife I'm sorry, please.
I know. In all seriousness, you should be sorry for a bunch of things that she had to deal with me. But in all seriousness, she is the most supportive person in every business venture.
She's an amazing human being, man. You married up.
And honest to God, I never once get a guilt trip of anything I got to do business wise. I'm not even making that up. And that includes right now. It's her birthday. She's downstairs with Izzy, our daughter, doing who knows what. And didn't even give me any flack for this. And I will tell people, real estate investors, if you're serious about trying to invest, get your spouse on board with what you're trying to do. I know all of you. Well, I don't know you, but the other two I know very well have spouses who are very supportive.
Yeah.
And it makes life so freaking much easier and fun when your spouse is on board with your kind of, what you want to do in life.
Yeah, especially if you marry a contractor, and then you can really just.
There you go. Right.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, Ashley is not a contractor, if that's what you
Jody's married to a contractor.
We met Jody's husband briefly earlier when she was having tech difficulties. She just went like this.
I need
Like,
you.
hello. Right.
And then I was like, okay, now take the dogs upstairs.
Yeah.
Now go. I got a drink.
Justin, idea for another show. We should have the spouse show.
Ooh. All right.
Yeah.
That's a good
So,
one.
I don't know
And
how
the
we do
kids
that.
will do what?
What?
The kids will do what exactly?
Let us light a fire. Let us have a bonfire in the backyard. Just them. Why are you guys over? We'll do a bonfire. It'd be great.
Sinks and then turn on the water.
Right. We'll give them the bucket from that jerk off throwing buckets of water at the guy on the roof and say, here you go, kids. Go tell people they're breaking the rules to go throw buckets of water on.
Oh man.
Oh, that's my favorite story of the day.
Good.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank
All right,
you, guys.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks for having me. This was so fun. Anytime.
All right, we'll do it again soon.
Unbelievable.
And hopefully we're gonna come see you in Lexington soon.
Yes, I hope so.
All right, Chad. Next time we'll do it. We'll do it on your daughter's birthday next time, Chad.
So it's like the one time that Kentucky has been like the best at something, not like the most obese or the most, like, no, we're crushing this COVID. Like, we
got this.
got this.
I think I've been thinking about, I don't want to fly, but I've been thinking about a road trip. So maybe in July, I think. We'll see. I'll let you know.
You'll come through Pennsylvania on the way. Don't be a stranger.
If I have to see you, I don't know about that. We'll see.
No, hey.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great weekend.
Go Hokies.